This is a review sheet that I did not assign, but I have there are some students that were not in my class that asked me to help them, and this is something that they were assigned. So there may be only one person that ever watches this, but that's what it is. So if you're one of my current students, this is not something I've assigned, so you don't need to worry about it. But if you want to just watch and see just one more example of some word problems, knock yourself out. I'm going to do 7 and 8, so 2 examples of a word problem. So I'm going to give myself some more space. Let's take a look at this. A history test is to have 20 questions. The teacher uses multiple choice and essay questions. So 2 kinds of questions, of which there are 20. The multiple choice questions are worth 4 points each, and the essay questions are worth 8 points each. The test has a total of 100 points. How many of each type of question appears on the exam? So, step 1, define your variables. Let's see, how many of each type of question? That tells me that the variables need to represent the number of each type of question. What are the 2 types of questions? Multiple choice and essay. So I will use M to represent the number of multiple choice questions. Alright, forgive my sloppy handwriting. The faster I write, the sloppier it gets. And I'm going to write pretty fast. And I'm going to use E to represent the number of essay questions. Alright, those are the 2 types. Now, if we can get 2 equations out of these sentences, then we could use elimination or substitution. Well, this first equation that jumps to mind is a very common type of equation, and I usually refer to it as an amount equation. Or if I'm feeling fancy, I'll call it a quantity equation, because it tells us how many. There are 20 questions total. Some of them are multiple choice, some of them are essay, but altogether it makes 20. So the amount equation is usually a really simple equation like this. M plus E is equal to 20. Very straightforward. Some are multiple choice, some are essay, but the total of them has to equal 20 because that's how many questions there are. So boom, 1 equation down, the amount equation. Now, very often the other equation is like a money equation. But instead of money this time, instead of dollars, it's points. So I feel a points equation coming on. Points. And hear what I mean. Here's what I mean. Blah, 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 blah. Multiple choice questions are worth 4 points. Okay, you know what, let me just focus in really closely. Look at this. 4 points each. Essay questions are worth 8 points each. The test has a total of 100 points. Look at the connection. 4 points, 8 points, 100 points. It's points, points, points. So this all flows together in one equation because it's all points. Alright? And the equation almost writes itself because its multiple choice questions are worth 4 points. So in other words, if I want an equation of points, it's going to be 4 points per multiple choice question plus 8 points per essay question. Alright, and that should all total out to be 100 points. So it makes sense because it's 4 points, 8 points, 100 points. It all goes together to make the points equation. Alright? So it's just like many problems we've done before, except for usually this would be money. So that's how you set up the two equations, alright? Which is probably the part that you needed most. But I will follow through and go ahead and solve it out. I seem to remember that you are more of a elimination girl, so I'm going to go ahead and do the elimination method. But you could also do substitution. If I were to do elimination, let's say we went for the m's. I might multiply this by -4, for example. So then what I would get would be -4m, let me not put plus, minus 4e is equal to -80. The bottom equation is staying the same, so 4m plus 8e is equal to 100. If I put this together, the m's cancel out, and I have 4e is equal to 20. So then once I divide by 4, I find that e is equal to 5. So that's the number of essay questions. So if there are 5 essay questions and there's a total of 20, I know that there must be 15 multiple choice questions. Alright, but technically I'm doing this. M plus E equals 20, and I'm taking this E equals 5 and I'm substituting it. So m plus 5 is equal to 20, subtract, so m is equal to 15. Alright, you should always put it back into a sentence in the end like this. There are 5 essay questions and 15 multiple choice questions. Kabam! So that is how you would do number 7. Now let's take a look at number 8. See what's what. Alright, once again, I'm going to make myself some space. See ya. Okay, I love questions like this for some reason. I guess they're like little puzzles. You know what? I think I'm going to call my daughter down here. Let me see if I can get my daughter to do this. No, I won't do that. I won't do that. I had Kayla do one before. But it's just you and me, probably. So I'll just do it. So look, here's the deal. 4 years ago, Brian was twice as old as Corey is now. In 2 years, Brian will be 4 times Corey's age 2 years ago. How old is each now? Okay, look at that. How old is each now? Let's start from there. So our variables need to be the pupil's age now. So let B equal Brian's age now. Alright, and you should be really specific as you define your variables. And let C be Corey's age now. Okay. Now somewhere in here we need to get 2 equations so we can substitute or use the elimination method. So here's the deal. Let's break it down. Brian, alright, 4 years ago Brian was. Alright, let's just start with that part of the sentence. 4 years ago Brian was. Okay, now B is Brian's age now. So if B is Brian's age now, what would be an expression for Brian's age 4 years ago? B minus 4. Okay? I wish I could ask you, does that make sense? But hopefully it does. So If B is Brian's age now, 4 years ago, his age was B minus 4. So, 4 years ago, Brian was, that's what this says so far. Brian's age 4 years ago was, now here comes the rest of it, twice as old as Corey is now. So twice as old means 2 times Corey's age now. Well, Corey's age now is C. So that's just 2C. So read it again. 4 years ago, Brian was, alright, that's Brian's age minus 4, twice as old as Corey is now, 2C. So there's your first equation. Now, we just need one more equation and we're home free. Okay, here we go. In 2 years, Brian will be, so I don't need to look at the next part yet. This is the first half of the sentence right here. If this is Brian's age now, what would be an expression for Brian's age in 2 years? Hopefully you said B plus 2. Alright, however old Brian is now, alright, and that's what B represents, his age in 2 years will be B plus 2. So in 2 years, Brian will be, alright, B plus 2 equals 4 times Corey's age, okay, so 4 times something. Now, so we got 4 times, now check this, Corey's age 2 years ago. That's what I have to multiply by 4. Corey's age 2 years ago. Now last time it says Corey's age now, so that was just C. What would be an expression for Corey's age 4 years ago? I'm sorry. What would be an expression for Corey's age 2 years ago? Alright, hopefully you just said C minus 2. Alright, Corey is C. Corey's age now is C, so 2 years ago he would be C minus 2. So 4 times Corey's age 2 years ago, that's 4 times C minus 2. If I want to multiply by a binomial, you know, if I want to multiply 4 times C minus 2, the C minus 2 has to be in parentheses. So that's the key. These are the two equations. The blue equation came from the stuff I highlighted in blue, and the red came from the red. Before I went any further, if I were you, I would get rid of these parentheses by doing the distributive property. So B plus 2 is equal to 4C minus 8. Okay, so now we have these two equations. Some kids like to even just go one more step further because we have the 2 and the negative 8. Some kids like to go ahead and subtract 2 from both sides right now. So that would give you B is equal to 4C minus 10. Okay, so now we've got these two equations that you can either do elimination or substitution. I think substitution would be good. Since we went ahead and took that last step of subtracting the 2 from both sides, that gives us B already by itself. So if we're going to do substitution, we could just take this stuff and put it in for B right now. So that's going to give us, so instead of B, I have 4C minus 10. Okay, so I have 4C minus 10 minus 4 is equal to 2C. All I have here are C's, so this should be easy to do. Now in this case, since there's nothing in front of the parentheses, then that means I didn't really need the parentheses. I could just take them away. I mean, you could think of it as distributing a 1 if you want, but basically we're just erasing the parentheses. But once those parentheses are gone, combine your like terms here, so that'd be 4C minus 14, okay, is equal to 2C. Now I'm noticing that I have a C on both sides of the equation, Anytime you have a variable on both sides, you need to eliminate one of them. Alright, move it to the other side. Now if I were you, I'd be trying to get this moved over here, because 2c is the only thing on the right. If I move it, it's going to make a 0, and that just looks weird, and students, they just start to make mistakes whenever that happens. So I'd move the 4c over there. Of course, you can't just move it. You've got to use your algebra skills. So you'd want to subtract 4c from both sides. So that will leave you with negative 14 is equal to negative 2c. And of course, you would then divide by negative 2. So those negative 2's cancel out, and you find yourself with c equals 7. So find c equals 7. That means Corey is 7 years old now. If I want to know now Brian's age now, I can just take this c and substitute. I think I'll put it over here. So, pardon my yawn. So Brian, that's just 4 times 7 minus 10. So that's 28 minus 10. So that's 18. Alright, so as I've taught you, make sure you convert over to words in the end. So Corey is 7 years old, and Brian is 18 years old. Alright, that is it for number 7 and 8. I hope that was helpful. Good luck on the test tomorrow, and I'm sure I will see you in class, and I will see you on the next video.